Ole Miss takes down the Texas Longhorns, and we're getting ready for a massive, massive game with the Auburn Tigers on Saturday. We have Tim Thomas joining us. Stick around.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, I'm Steven Willis from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. He is Tim Thomas, former Ole Miss basketball player, here to talk all about the Ole Miss big win over the Texas Longhorns on Wednesday night. Tim, one thing I was really excited to see, first of all, I noticed that every time Matt Murrell was on the floor, Ole Miss made a run. Every time he was off the floor, Texas made a run. That's the way that whole first half went. And second, Dre Davis, it was really good to see him coming into his own and playing a really good game. And good for Devin Barnes, because I know after that Texas A&M game, that was just missing a front end of the one-on-one, and you end up losing the game. Him going in and making 2 free throws in a one-on-one situation and Ole Miss beating Texas, it is good vibes for everybody, man.
100%. Yeah. So glad that Barnes hit those free throws. It was kind of nerve-wracking. I'm sure it was for him, but we mentioned it, I think, last week. I bet he went to the Tui Center and practiced on those free throws a lot, because he knew it hurt the team. But Murrell, good to have him back. He's banged up. I've heard back. I've heard, I think John Rothstein said back, and I've heard people say leg, hamstring. He's got issues. He's got health issues, and Dre Davis didn't play last game against Missouri, so he's got some injuries, nagging injuries. But he played hard. Murrell, I mean, you can say he didn't do a lot offensive-wise. He didn't. He scored 3 and nearly let the last guy have that wide-open shot at the end. But he made some plays during the game. We're so much better with him in the game. It was good to see Dre back. Dre was fired up. He like he had something to prove. I don't know if he knew a lot of those Texas guys or what, but he played well too. Brakefield, so proud of him. Made some one-on-one moves that no one else can. I wish that at some point in time to just throwing it up or he'd dish it. He's got to look for assist. You got Padula and Murray and the guys waiting for assist. He hit a 3, but he gets going there, twist around, and not sure where he's at and don't know where everybody's at. But he done a good job too. I was really proud of him. It was a good team win, just like some of the other games. A&M, he could have went either way. Just who makes the plays, who makes the free throws. And Sean Padula, with 0 turnovers. He had 19 points and had several assists and rebounds, played really well. I know Trey Johnson is the top 5 pick for Texas. They say he's the top 5, but right last night I thought that Sean Padula was the best player on the court.
Yeah, and I get that vibe as well. You know, the first half of that game, Texas shot 52%. They actually had their way. Ole Miss, as much as they tried to turn up their defense, Texas was making shots in the first half. And the second half, that I want to know what the number is just for their second half shooting, because their total number is below 40%, which means they probably shot less than 30% for the second half.
Yeah, they turned up intensity quite a bit. It was good to see. I'm sure Beard had a few choice words and maybe not a few nice things, but he just told them, hey, guys, it's right here in front of you. What are you going to do? What are you going to say what you're going to do? Are you going to do what we practice? Or what have we got going here? What's the story? What's the culture? Are you going to get out there and fight and go for loose balls? Are you going to rebound? And they actually closed the rebounds up a little bit. It was getting pretty bad for a while, especially in the first half, and at least they got up to 9. And just think about it. If we can keep it win 5 to 9, evidently, we're doing okay, because we don't have any Dennis Rodmans out there. Just think about it. Dennis Rodman was 6'8", 190 pounds, played for the Pistons. We don't have any of those guys. We don't have anybody that likes to rebound like that. Don't want to, don't care, don't look for the ball. But we can go inside. I thought that was the key, and I think it may be the key for the rest of the season. Every guy that got it, if it wasn't a wide open 3, they went to the hole in some manner. And a lot of times they got fouled. There's a couple of times it was the guy, hey, The referees are not calling it like they used to. I like it because back in the day when I played, they didn't call it either. But I hope that'll help us, but we'll see how that goes.
Going back a little bit, talking about the Dre Davis stuff, and you talked about his defensive intensity and all that. He was probably two notches higher in intensity than any game that I've seen Dre Davis play. So apparently he got in a talking to or something had happened, but he came out there with something to prove, and it helped him on the offensive end. You talked about that last year. Rebounding and play defense, all of a sudden it's amazing how that offensive game just comes back.
Yeah, it's so true, and Beard preaches it. Maybe they'll start listening more. We got a huge game coming up this Saturday. We're going to definitely need to rebound. But Dre played well. I think Billis, Jay Billis, mentioned that the SEC tournament could be more competitive than the NCAA tournament for a couple of rounds. So the SEC tournament, we got all these teams. There's 15 teams we talked about that can beat each other on any day pretty much. We got to watch it. When we go to South Carolina, LSU, we got to watch it. They can beat us there if we don't watch it. So we got to get that magic 8. I believe we'll get 9, possibly get 10 if we play well. But it's not going to be easy in the SEC.
Yeah, it's nice to know that Ole Miss is 5-3 right now and only needs 3 wins to get to that magic 8 number. It's getting closer, and then you can start, like, anything on top of that 8 is gravy.
Yeah, I think we'll get there without any problem. We still got to play hard, and Beard, this second year, they always say Beard does well. A lot of people are saying, hey, that's kind of like the Texas Tech Texas Tech team back to the days when he had, I know Rothstein and some other guys have mentioned that this is kind of the way it was formed. This is the way they play. They got that no-middle defense, and Mark Adams, and they got the couple shooters outside, and hopefully Murrell will come on. We got him and Dre Davis, and then Dia. We got to get him back to going. I think it's plain and simple. Beard just said, you either go inside or you're not going to play. What are you going to do? League, just plain and simple. So a couple of times he made a play or two inside, but the 90% he drifts out. We've talked about he drifts out, and he'd rather take the 10, 12, 20-footer than go inside and fight. He can do it. He can go inside and fight. He done it. He done it against Alabama so well, so pretty, and just that's why everybody was so high on him. So hopefully maybe a little adjustment, significant emotional event, Wetlick used to call them. Hopefully that something like that will happen, and he'll wake up and he'll help us, because we're definitely going to need against Auburn, or we're going to get blew out.
Yeah, and it's interesting that for the second time they kind of went small, where you had Jamin Brakefield play in the 5. And it was interesting to see that lineup.
Yeah, it was because he didn't have any trust in Dia. I'm not sure what's going on with Brown Jones. No trust there. He wanted the guys out there that was willing to fight. He tried Flatrick for a minute. That didn't work. He had a couple of turnovers, and he was afraid to play Broom in this game. This game was a must-win, as you mentioned, and we got it. I'm so proud. I feel like we're gonna have a chance. It may not be a snowball yet. We're gonna have a chance to beat Auburn this Saturday at home with a huge crowd. Few breaks go our way, no turnovers. We're gonna get beat on the defense, on the rebounding. We're gonna get beat, no doubt. Just go ahead and say it. But as we talked, he's gonna tell all these guys, if you want to play, you're gonna go inside. You're gonna get these fouls. So we shoot all these free throws. We made more free throws than they even shot free throws. So that's a big difference. With the turnovers, we had 4 turnovers. I think they had 11, so that's a 7 difference. So we're not a rebounding team, so we're going to have to do other things to stay with these other teams, especially the better teams like Auburn.
All right, thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. When we come back, we will turn the page to tomorrow's game with the Auburn Tigers and what should be a rocking pavilion as well. So stick around for that. But first, I do want to let you know about Game Time. Attending NFL playoff games is an experience like no other. The energy, the excitement, the camaraderie with other fans is absolutely unmatched. I'll never forget the thrill of watching my favorite team clinch a playoff victory live. It's a moment I'll cherish forever. This year, Game Time makes it even easier to create those unforgettable memories with their new feature, Game Time Picks. It cuts you through the clutter and shows you only the best deals on the great seats so you can focus on what really actually matters, and that is actually being at the game. I recently used Game Time Picks to snag tickets for an upcoming concert, actually. Going to see Midland play in February. I found a super deal that gave me an amazing value for incredible seats. One of my favorite features, though, was the preview seat view before buying. It was so helpful. Plus, with their all-in pricing, you can see there without any surprise fees at checkout. And the game time guarantee gives me total peace of mind knowing my tickets were secure and they're going to be delivered on time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Tim, let's turn the page to the Auburn Tigers. It's going to be a big day, and I'm glad that Ole Miss was able to get the win against Texas so they could get those good feelings back, because that means that the pavilion's going to be absolutely slammed and rocking on Saturday. Auburn is probably the best basketball team in the country. It's either them or Duke, if we're going to be honest about it right now. It's going to be a tough task for Ole Miss. What do you see that Ole Miss needs to do to pull off this major upset?
I think kind of what we talked about before I get started is that, Bruce Pearl's done a great job. He recruits well. He has a high NIL, and you can tell by all these guys. Janai Broome, probably a player of the year candidate. He got several guys that really helped the guards, and as far as I won't go into all their names, but they're really, really good. Number one team. You don't usually see Auburn up there. It's good to see one of the SEC teams up there. And they're not Duke. They're not Kentucky. They're Auburn. They play hard. They play hard on defense, and they are the best, I think, the offensive team in the nation. So what do? I think Beer's going to do what he just did last night, Wednesday night. I believe he's going to go inside. He's going to, take a chance. That's just go inside every time. If you ain't got it, put it out for a three. I think he's going to go inside out. He's going to go inside, try to get a shot up, try to get fouls. I think that was the perfect storm last night. It worked. We shot free throws. We shoot threes at times good, and hopefully we'll shoot a few at home. But the Murrell kind of hurt, and Dre kind of hurt. I'm hoping that Dia has a good game, but I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to go inside, and we'll play the best defense we can. We'll rebound the best we can. But when it gets down to it, I believe the made free throws will be the difference if we have any kind of chance at all to win.
For one of the first times this year, Ole Miss has been a good defensive team for, the course of this season. But in this game against Texas is the first time that I saw the Ole Miss defense, and it was kind of like you were watching a Tennessee defense, to where it was almost like the other team was just going to the dentist office, and it was that much work to try and do anything. And if Ole Miss can do that against Auburn, that does give me hope, because Tennessee, they didn't beat Auburn in the jungle, but they held them to 52 points.
Yeah, it's really close. When our intensity is high, when all five guys are working like a pissy, and everybody's kind of working, rotating, shifting, and we got to get our hands up. They shoot a lot of threes. We got to run them off the three. It may be part of the plan too, but run them off the three. And when they do get threes, we got to get up there in them. Even though we're not right there close, so we got to get up there and have some kind of distraction for the three. We don't do that well. So sometimes we just kind of put our hand up and don't do well. But we have chances here. I can see it coming. I can see the possibilities, but I can also see the possibilities if we don't have that intensity, if we don't play like we did last night a couple of times. We got to do it for 40 minutes. I think if you hear Beard this week, he's going to be present. We got to play our best 40 minutes of the year, and we can't play 36. We can't play 32. They cut these games up in 10, 44-minute increments, and we got to play 40 minutes. The best that we have all year to have any kind of chance to beat Auburn, I believe, at home.
All right. So these are the keys that I did on my podcast a little bit earlier today about this Auburn game. I think that Ole Miss needs to find a way to minimize the slow start that's been affecting this team. If you start slow against this Auburn team, you won't be down 11-2. You'll be down 22-2. and the game will essentially be over. That's one of the secret sauces behind Auburn. I think that Ole Miss needs to be competitive on the boards with Auburn. Just don't do like the first 5 minutes where Texas had 7 offensive rebounds. The last 35 minutes of the game, Ole Miss kind of played them to a stalemate. But the first 5 minutes, Texas was just completely mauling Ole Miss. And Ole Miss needs to play loose and just with the knowledge this is kind of a free opportunity to do something special.
Yeah, that's some good points there. I agree with that slow start. we have it pretty regular these days. I'm not sure it has to do with the point guard usually how they come out and make run the offense and so forth. But being competitive on the boards, maybe we can stay within 9 or 10 like we did with Texas. If we can stay within 9 or 10, maybe we can stay with them. But we just can't let it get up in the 20s. We just can't. It can't get up there. And offensive rebounds is what they're good at. I like the idea, playing loose because we're 5-3. We got to get 8. I don't think Beard looks at it that way. He plays every game like it's a win, and that's the thing that he looks at, and that's what he don't care if it's at home or away. We're going to play the same type of game no matter. So, but we'll see how it goes. I got a good feeling about it that we could do it, but it's going to be a lot of things going to have to come together. We're going to have to get a lot of luck. We're going to have those guys right there. Yeah, we got to have Dre playing like he played Wednesday night. Sean's got to come through. He can't have many turnovers. And hopefully Matt Murrell will feel like playing. If you get help on the offensive end, we got to have the help on rebounding and defense. And he's good at that also.
Yeah, and to get out of here, it's a situation. There's only really one team that I predict to win games on the road right now in the Southeastern Conference, and that is Auburn. I think it's going to be a tough test for Ole Miss. The Ole Miss is absolutely the underdog, but the pavilion and the crowd, you mention all the time that playing at home is worth about 10 points in college basketball. Ole Miss is going to need every little bit of help come Saturday.
Yeah, but it can happen. I've seen it happen. I've played in a lot of games. It's happened. The crowd makes a big difference. If we have a huge crowd, that'll make a big difference. And we got to get off to a fast start. We really need to get off to a fast start. We need to get everything moving and get a few threes in, make some plays inside, and prove to them that we're not just going to stand there and let them take this game, because that's what happened. They intimidate. They try to scare people. They try to put their elbows out. And the refs, we talk about, they are letting these teams play in the SEC. I haven't watched a lot of the other games. I don't know what the ACC is doing, but they're letting these guys play. If it don't draw blood, they're going ahead. So that's our benefit. I believe with our guys play good, strong, hard, strong defense. And like you said, we got to hit the boards. We got to block out. We got to make ourselves known, and we can't play scared. We can't let them intimidate us. We got to do what we got to do.
And one thing that I'm excited about watching this game is 2 of the better below the rim bigs in the Southeastern Conference are they're going to have the opportunity to go at each other, because Janai Broome, he is fantastic, and he's a below the rim player. He's such a finesse guy. He is excellent at just getting shots off and from weird angles, and that's kind of similar to what Jamin Brakefield does. Now, the difference is Janai Broome can also play above the rim, but I digress about that as well. But I think it'll be interesting. Last year, Ole Miss was playing really well against Auburn, and Auburn was in a lot of trouble in that game, if you remember it, whenever they played at the Pavilion. The second half, Janai Broome took it over, and I am worried about Janai Broome taking over this game.
Yeah, he's been banged up some too. He's not 100%. And we talked about Murrell and Davis, and we got a great place there at the 2U Center to get people well. It's great facilities. I've seen it up when we toured the place. So they're getting them well the best they can. I don't know what they're taking or shooting. I hope they're not shooting anything too bad. But I've heard back issues. I've heard leg issues. So whatever it is, we just got to get well and give it our best shot. Like you said, it's free ticket there Saturday. And if we can have a few breaks, a few turnovers, and rebound just halfway decently and play that 40 minutes of intensity like we played a couple of times last night, other night against Texas, we got a chance to win.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Tim Thomas, former Ole Miss basketball player, thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll see what happens on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to do well. If we can just do well, if we don't win it, we're still good. We're all right. We're good shape. All we're worried about is trying to get to the dance. It would be nice to have a bye or so in the SEC tournament because that's going to be here before we know it. So if you get a bye or two in the SEC tournament, then you work your way to the NCAA tournament, you'll be kind of well rested. You won't have to play as many games. And we need time for some of these guys to heal, looks like. So I feel good about it. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy, Tim. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you later. Hotty toddy, guys.